Live from News 4 New York, this is a special report.
At noon, straight up. Hello, everyone. I'm David Ushry with Randon Ovini. We've got some breaking news out of Middlesex County, New Jersey. A small plane has crashed in a neighborhood, leaving at least 2 houses on fire.
And this is going on in the community of Colonia, that's in Woodbridge Township. We know that plane is a twin-engine Cessna. We have Chopper Force Dennis Protzko on the phone with us on the ground near the scene. And Dennis, normally you're flying in Chopper 4 for us, but today you happen to be a witness to all of this.
Yep, an unfortunate witness at that, Rana, and good afternoon to you. Just a terrible scene here in very, very rural Colonia, a very residential area here. Basically a section of Woodbridge, just to the east of the Garden State Parkway and just off of Colonia Boulevard. We're here along Berkley Avenue and the intersection of Princeton Avenue, where this airplane crashed just prior to 11 o'clock. I actually live about a block and a half away from that location where the plane came down. I was leaving my house at the time, actually, to go to the airport, Linden Airport, only about 5 miles away from here. Still don't know if this airplane was coming to or going from Linden Airport or another airport. But again, that aircraft coming down, and I was just talking to a resident here, Robert Maynard, who said he actually witnessed the aircraft fall from the sky. I heard it, and I heard what sounded like a large thump when I was leaving my house, but he actually witnessed the aircraft. And when it was coming out of the sky, he said it was 90 degrees, nose down, wing down, and it impacted the house. He said it seemed like something out of a movie. Just a terrible, terrible scene. Very, very heavy, thick black smoke as I walked down the street prior to any even emergency vehicles arriving at this location, with fire just erupting from at least one house that we understand is completely destroyed, and possibly a second house that is damaged as well. Still no word on any victims, any survivors, anybody in the house. We have not gained any official word from Woodbridge Fire, Colonia Fire, or police at this point on who was on that aircraft or how many people were on that aircraft, and if anybody else made it out of the house if they were home alive. One thing that we did notice, although we do have a number of ambulances here at the scene, no ambulance so far that we have noticed have left the scene. However, we did see one firefighter walking down the street with a dog from the fire. The dog appeared to be in good condition, still breathing, not a problem. Seemed to be a Pomeranian, in fact. But again, a terrible scene here. Right now, I can tell you that still a little bit of white and gray smoke coming up from the fire scene, but no longer any flames that are visible from our vantage point. And
okay.
Of course, we're going to...
Dennis, all right, good. I'm going to ask you to stand by because Chris Glorioso has hustled over to the scene. He's right in front of one of the homes. Chris, what are you seeing and hearing?
Well, let me try to give you my vantage point. I'm at the corner of Princeton and Berkley Avenues, and you can take a look. You can see some of that smoke there billowing up from the house, at least one of the houses where this plane made impact. Again, it went down around 11 a.m. This was a Cessna 414, which is a twin-engine plane. I believe, though not positive, that it can carry a maximum of 7 people, but we really don't have any indication as yet as to how many people were on board, and no indication of how many people might have been in the homes that caught fire after the crash. The FAA says a team from the National Transportation Safety Board is currently launching folks to investigate this. Now, around the time of the flight, our own Storm Team 4 reported visibility was deteriorating. The nearest airport here is the Linden Airport, and between 10:55 and 11:15 this morning, visibility at the Linden Airport went from about 10 miles to 2 miles, so it's very misty even now. The conditions were reported as a heavy mist at that time. Jimmy Roberts, our videographer, is showing you the scene. I want to take him over here to some of the neighbors that live on this street. Sir, I wonder if you have a quick second to tell us, what did you see? This was around 11 a.m. this morning.
Yeah, it was around 11 this morning. I live right here. Basically, I just heard a plane that sounded like it was really low, like kind of one of those like 2-engine planes. It sounded really low. It started to sputter a little bit, and all of a sudden then there was this huge explosion, or just big bang, louder than any car crash I've ever heard. And then after that, I looked out my window, literally right there, and I saw the billowing flames. So I just threw something on, ran out the house. My neighbor here, he's a state policeman. Luckily, he was able to kind of calm it down. make sure we checked the houses next door, and then make sure that if there was anyone in the house or nearby to just get everything solved.
Are you clear at this point whether there was anyone in either of the houses that caught fire?
The one that was on fire, I don't think there was anyone in there. I'm pretty sure that they weren't home. And then the one house that was also catching on fire next to it, no one was home there. So at least from what I'm aware of, no one was hurt. Thank God.
If that is true, obviously that is a really important fact here, and obviously the time of day plays a role, because this was after a lot of people were headed to work.
Exactly. I think it happened around like 11, maybe 11:15 or so. And once there was about 5 of us over there, it was only, thank goodness, it was only a couple minutes until they were able to get on the scene. And
can you describe what it looked like? How big were the flames? How long were they going? How long did it take the fire departments, who all chipped in to try to put them out? I still see smoke over there.
Yeah, I don't know if hopefully it's still at least contained. But initially, when I looked out my window, the flames were probably about 30 to 40 feet high. When I got to the front of the house, where the couple of the guys that were there, it was the entire bottom floor was on fire. It was actually starting to spread to the house next to it right away.
And were you able to see any indication of the plane itself?
I didn't see anything from the plane. I think it probably crashed into the back of it. So I didn't run back there or anything. I didn't want to have any issues or anything. So
thank you so much for your time, sir, and thanks for chipping in to try to figure out a way to help those if there were anyone inside. Appreciate your time. Give you one last look here. You can see the smoke still billowing up from over those trees. We're at the corner of Berkley and Princeton here in Colonia, and that is the scene where this 414 Cessna twin-engine plane went down in very misty conditions. It's still really sort of misting out here as we speak. I believe the mayor of Colonia, we just heard, is going to give some sort of briefing in a short period of time. Hopefully we get some more information at this point, but you just heard from one witness telling us that from his perspective, and he was one of the people that rushed over there, he does not believe there was anyone in the homes at that time. Again, no idea at this point how many people were on board that Cessna. I'm going to send it back to you in the studio now.
All right, Chris, thanks for that update. And again, we want to reiterate what Dennis Protzko reported. No ambulance is seen leaving that scene yet, but also that this plane may have come in nose down, on a vertical kind
Right,
of
he said a 90-degree coming down. Chris touched on this about visibility perhaps being an issue here. We want to bring in Storm Team 4's Rafael Miranda in the Weather Center now with a look at those visibility reports at the time of the crash. Raf?
That's exactly right, Randall. We want to see what the weather is now and what it was at the time of the crash. Here are the stats from Linden Airport. The ceiling's very low, around 700 feet, and the visibility was dropping. It was dropping from 10 miles down to 2 miles. This was at 11 o'clock, just around the time of the crash. The winds were light, and there was mist reported there at Linden Airport. Look at this. This should be a view from Newark Liberty right now. This is fog. This is the type of fog and reduced visibility we are seeing right now. Even just a few minutes ago, you could see some headlights here. Really hard to make out anything with the fog that we're seeing rolling on in. This visibility right now, it's down to 1.25 miles at Linden Airport, around 2 miles in Newark. But not everyone's seeing the fog. 10-mile visibility at JFK, so it really depends on where you are. We're seeing these dense sort of fog banks rolling on in. We can see that on Live Storm Tracker 4. The drizzle and fog continue to push on in. Now, I want to show you something. At the time of the crash, we're going to take a closer look here. See this dark gray? That is smoke from impact from the crash. Our radar picked that up, and you can see that's just around 11 o'clock this morning. It was quiet at first, the plain old drizzle and fog, but then you see this puff of dark gray there moving out of the area. That was the scene of the crash, and Storm Tracker 4 was able to pick up on that smoke around 11 o'clock, and you see it does get lighter and start to fade away as the fires were extinguished gradually as well. So again, conditions at the time of the crash, poor at Linden Airport. Ceilings were down to 700 feet and the visibility was dropping. We'll see if weather is a factor in this crash, of course, over time. David and Rana?
Okay, Rafi, we're going to get right out to Chris Glorioso because we see some officials gathering.
Are you Mayor McCormick?
You got to get a couple trucks. You want to do somewhere else? You want us to move? We're down that way? That sounds good, yeah. All right, we're going to have to move. If they
We have Chris Glorioso live there on the scene. It looks like some officials are about to give a briefing on what's going on. If you're just joining us, a small plane crashed into a home in Colonia. We understand that 2 homes there have caught fire. We're waiting to learn if anyone was in those homes, if anyone was injured. We don't know yet how many people were on board the aircraft.
We have the mayor of Colonia who's getting ready to brief us.
Mayor of Woodbridge.
Woodbridge, rather. I'm sorry.
You're in Colonia.
Got it. Okay. Oh, goodness. Okay. So we are here with the mayor of Woodbridge, who momentarily is going to give us a briefing about exactly what he knows at this time regarding the plane crash. This is a very active scene, as you can see. They're moving the media a little bit further away because they've got to bring some heavy trucks in here. But I think we're going to stop right about here to try to hear a little bit. Obviously, a big question on everyone's mind right now is, A, what is the situation with, you can see the smoke billowing over there. Has this fire been completely knocked down? Do we know that there is no continuing danger to folks' health and safety? And what, if anything, do we know about who was on board that plane? This is Mayor McCormick with Woodbridge. Let's hear what he has to say.
What's going on? Okay, at approximately... Other side of the hose, please.
Scott, wait. Okay.
It's frozen.
Mayor McCormick, I wonder if you could just, first of all, brief us on what you know at this time.
At approximately 10:58, the call came in that a single-engine Cessna plane had crashed into a home on Berkley Avenue in Colonia. The house is at number 84. It was completely engulfed. The plane is in the ceiling of the house and behind it on the roof. There was nobody home at the time, which is very fortunate. There was a car in the driveway, so everybody thought somebody was home, but nobody was home. They confirmed with the owner. There was a lady next door at 80 in the home. She escaped. That house suffered some damage. They're still working on it. There was nobody home at 88. That house suffered some damage. So right now, we don't believe any civilians on the ground were impacted by the crash, although the pilot, who knows? Nobody knows for sure yet. Nobody's gotten close to the plane. Miracles can happen.
Do you have any idea whether it was just a pilot on board or were there any passengers?
The report we got from the FAA is that there were no passengers, just a pilot.
Do you know if the pilot was trying to make his way into the Linden airport?
It appears that way. The plane appears to be out of Virginia, was going to Linden.
And it was trying to make a landing at that point in time?
I don't know any details about that. We can't determine that.
Can you talk to us about the fire and any ongoing health or safety concerns you have right now?
Well, right now, the gas company has turned off the gas to 4 homes surrounding the area. PSE&G has turned off electric to 400 homes around the area. So those are safety precautions that were taken. Very fortunately, we had our, just about every available person in town is out here at the scene to fight the fire. Look, they're still working on it. But the important thing is that no civilians on the ground were impacted or hurt, which is just terrific news.
How about the emergency response to this thing? It's rather large, of course, and how much longer they'll be working?
Oh, they'll be here for a while, and you know, this is all hands on deck. Everybody who's available. We have 9 different firehouses. I think the majority of them send trucks out here. The people waiting in the houses for calls like this, they come out instantly, and we have a whole cadre of professionals out here fighting the fire.
Do you know if there were any distress calls from the plane? Has anybody...
Don't know that yet. No, we're not sure about that yet.
FAA coming to the scene too?
I don't know if they're coming, but they did brief us that there was this one person only, you know, just a pilot.
Can you?
They will be on scene. Yeah, they'll be on scene later.
Can you give us a sense as to how the fire, where the house was impacted by this plane, what part of the house, and how the fire spread to the second house?
I don't know the details, but the plane is in the back of the house. You can't see the plane from the street. So the plane is visible from the back of the house. I haven't seen the plane myself, but it apparently is still lodged in the house.
We're also hearing that a number of neighbors around here, you know, quickly rushed over there. What do we know about the community response, even beyond the first responders?
I don't know anything yet. I know one guy was home and he made the call right away. I don't, other than the lady next door getting out of her house safely, thank goodness. I don't know anything else about any civilians and how they were impacted.
You know what kind of plane it was?
All I heard is single-engine Cessna. Cessna type plane.
All right, on the way from Virginia to Linden.
Apparently, but again, the FAA can confirm that.
Okay. Anything you'd like to say at this point about what we know of the weather conditions? Were they similar to what we're seeing right now?
It's overcast, it's foggy, who knows what it might have been. I just want to thank the emergency workers in Woodbridge Township, the police, the fire, the first aids. They came out en masse to make sure everybody was safe. And like I said, there are no civilian casualties, which is just very, very fortunate.
Thank you, Mayor.
Apparently the FAA is on the way.
They've indicated they will be on site sometime this afternoon.
Mayor McCormick, thank you very much. Of course, that's Mayor McCormick in Woodbridge. You can see behind him the smoke still billowing over his shoulder. That is where firefighters and other first responders continue to try and deal with the remnants. 2 houses involved, but really directly one house. As you heard Dennis Protzko say, this plane making essentially a 90-degree angle dive into the back of this house. Again, the good news, no one was in that house that made the direct hit. There was someone next door, you heard the mayor say, but that person was able to escape. And I believe it is the next door house at this point. Firefighters still mostly working on. They're trying to make sure that there are no more hot spots. But again, as you can see, look at that smoke still billowing over there. This was an all hands on deck moment for first responders, as you heard the mayor just say. And in fact, really, really fortunate that there was no one in the house where the plane made that direct impact. For now, reporting live in Colonia, Chris Glorioso, News 4 New York.
All right, Chris, thank you. Good hustle there to get the very latest information from Mayor John McCormick there. As you can tell, we could see a lot to unpack, but the main headline, as you've heard, no injuries on the ground, no word on the pilot yet, although it does not look good.
Although the mayor did say miracles can happen. Of course, fire officials need to put out the fire, then they can get close to the plane, and then the investigation will continue. We will have much more throughout the day on our website, NBCNewYork.com, and you can see the very latest here on NBC New York starting at 4 p.m.
Thank you for watching this video from NBC4 New York. You can subscribe by tapping the button below me, and on the left you can see our latest updates, investigations, and digital exclusives. We'll see you next time.